Isaiah chapter 33. O you destroyer, never destroyed, you traitor, never betrayed. When you have stopped destroying, you will be destroyed, and when you finish betraying, they will betray you. Adonai, be gracious to us. We long for you. Be our strength every morning, our salvation in times of trouble. From the noise of tumult, people will flee. When you lift yourself up, the nations will be scattered. Your spoil is gathered as the caterpillar gathers. Like a swarm of locusts, they are rushing over it. Adonai is exalted, for he dwells on high. He has filled Zion with justice and righteousness. It will be your time of faithfulness, a wealth of salvation, wisdom and knowledge. The fear of Adonai is his treasure. Behold, heroes cry outside, ambassadors of peace weep bitterly. Highways are desolate, travel has ceased, covenant is broken, cities are despised. There is no regard for humanity. The land mourns and languishes. Lebanon is shamed and withers. Sharon is like a wilderness. Bashan and Carmel are shaken bare. Now I will rise, says Adonai. Now I will be exalted. Now I will lift myself up. You conceive chaff. You will give birth to stubble. My breath is a fire that will consume you. Then peoples will be burned as lime, like thorns cut down, burned in the fire. Here you are afar off, what I have done, and you who are near acknowledge my might. Sinners in Zion are afraid. Trembling has seized the godless. Whom among us can live with the consuming fire? Who among us can live with everlasting burnings? One who walks righteously and speak uprightly, who refuses unjust gain by extortion, who shakes his hands free of bribes, who stops his ears from hearing of bloodshed, and shuts his eyes from looking on evil. He will dwell on the heights. His refuge will be an impregnable cliff. His bread will be provided, his water assured. Your eyes will see the king in his beauty. They will gaze at a far distant land. Your heart will meditate on terror. Where is the counter? Where is the weigher? Where is the counter of towers? You will no longer see the fierce people, the people of speech too obscure to comprehend. With a stammering tongue, no one understands. Look upon Zion, the city of our festivals. Your eyes will see Jerusalem as a quiet home, a tent that will never be folded, its stakes never pulled up, its cords never broken. For there the majestic one, Adonai, will be for us, a place of rivers and wide canals, on which no boats with oars will go, nor any might ship will travel by. For Adonai is our judge, Adonai is our lawgiver, Adonai is our king. He will save us. Your cords hang slack, not willing the mast in place firmly, nor spreading out the sail. Then abundant spoil will be divided. Even the lame will carry off plunder. Now an inhabitant will say, I am sick. The people dwelling there will be forgiven their iniquity. Chapter 34. Draw near, O nations, to hear and listen, O peoples. Let the earth hear and all it contains, the world and all its offspring. For Adonai is enraged at all the nations and furious at all their armies. He will utterly destroy them. He will give them over to slaughter. So their slain will be thrown out, and the stretch of their corpse will rise, and the hills will be drenched with their blood. Then all the host of heaven will dissolve, and the skies will be rolled up like a scroll. So all their array will wither away, like a leaf drooping from a vine, like a fig shriveling from a fig tree. For my sword has drunk its fill in the heavens. See, it will come down upon Edom, upon the people I have devoted to judgment. The sword of Adonai is filled with blood, gorged with fat. the blood of lambs and goats, the fat of kidneys of rams. For Adonai has a sacrifice in Bozrah, a great slaughter in the land of Edom. Wild oxen will go down with them, bull calves with mighty steers. So their land will be soaked with blood and their dust greasy with fat. For Adonai has a day of vengeance, a year of recompense for the hostility against Zion. Its streams will be turned into pitch, its dust into brimstone, and its land will become burning tar. It will not be quenched night or day. Its smoke will go up forever. From generation to generation it will lay waste forever and ever. None will pass through it, but pelican and porcupine will have it. Owl and raven will dwell in it. He will stretch a line of chaos over it, and stones of desolation. As for its nobles, there are none there to call it a kingdom, and all its princes will come to nothing. Thorns will come up in its palaces, nettles and thistles in its fortresses. It will be a haunt of jackals, an abode of ostrich. Wildcats will meet with wolves. The goat demon will cry to its kind. Yes, the night monster will settle there and find itself a resting place. A tree snake will nest and lay eggs there. Hatch gather them under its shadow. Surely hawks are gathered there, each one with her mate. Seek from the scroll of Adonai and read. Not one of them will be missing. None will lack its mate, for his mouth commanded it, and his ruach gathered them. He cast the lot for them, and his hand divided it out to them with a line. They will possess it forever and dwell in it from generation to generation. Chapter 35. The wilderness and dry land will be glad. The desert will rejoice and blossom like a lily. It will blossom profusely, will rejoice with joy and singing, will be given the glory of Lebanon, the splendor of Carmel and Sharon. They will see the glory of Adonai, the splendor of our God. Strengthen the limp hands, make firm the wobbly knees. Say to those with anxious heart, be strong, have no fear. Behold your God. Vengeance is coming. God's recompense is coming. Then he will save you. Then the eyes of the blind will be opened, and the ears of the deaf unstopped. Then the lame will leap like a deer, and the tongue of the mute will sing. For water will burst forth in the desert, and streams in the wilderness. The parched land will become a pool, the thirsty ground springs of water in the haunt of jackals. Where they rest, grass will become reeds and rushes. A highway will be there, a roadway. It will be called the way of holiness. The unclean will not travel on it. It is for the one who walks the way. Fools will not go astray. No lion will be there. No ravenous beast will go up on it. They will not be found there, but the redeemed will walk there. The ransomed of Adonai will return and come to Zion with singing, with everlasting joy upon their heads. They will obtain gladness and joy, and sorrow and sighing will flee away. Chapter 36. Now it came to pass in the 14th year of King Hezekiah that King Sennacherib of Assyria came up against all the fortified cities of Judah and captured them. The city of Assyria sent the Rabshakeh from Lachish to Jerusalem to King Hezekiah with a massive army. The Rabshakeh stood by the aqueduct of the upper pool in the highway of the washer's field. Then Eliakim son of Hilkiah, who was in charge of the palace, Shebna the scribe, and Joach son of Asaph the recorder came out to him. So the Rabshakeh said to him, Say now to Hezekiah, thus says the great king, the king of Assyria, what is this confidence you relied on? I say your strategy and strength for war are only words of a lip. Who do you rely on now, so that you have rebelled against me? Behold, you rely on this splintered reed as a staff to Egypt. If a man leans on it, it will go into the palm of his hand and pierce it. Thus Pharaoh, king of Egypt, is to all who trust in him. But if you say to me, we trust in Adonai our God, Is it not he whose high places and altars Hezekiah removed and then said to Judah and to Jerusalem, you must worship before this altar? So now make a bargain with my master, the king of Assyria. I'll give you 2,000 horses if you could put riders of your own on them. So how can you repulse a single lieutenant, the least of my master's servants? Yes, you're relying on Egypt for chariots, for horsemen. Moreover, have I now come up against this land to destroy it without Adonai's approval? Adonai said to me, go up against this land and destroy it. Then Eliakim and Shebna and Joah said to the Rabshakeh, please speak to your servants in Aramaic, for we understand it. Don't speak to us in the language of the Jews when the people on the wall are listening. But the Rabshakeh said, has my master sent me only to your master and to you to speak these words? Hasn't he sent me to the men who sit on the wall, who will eat their own waste and drink their own urine with you? Then the Rabshakeh stood and cried with a loud voice in the language of the Jews and said, hear the words of the great king, the king of Assyria. Thus says the king, don't let Hezekiah deceive you, for he will not be able to deliver you, nor let Hezekiah persuade you to trust in Adonai by saying, Adonai will surely deliver us. This city will not be given into the hand of the king of Assyria. Don't listen to Hezekiah, for thus says the king of Assyria, make peace with me and come out to me. Then everyone will eat from his own vine and fig tree, and everyone will drink water from his own cistern, until I come and take you away to a land like your own land, a land of grain and wine, a land of bread and vineyard. Beware that Hezekiah does not mislead you by saying, Adonai will deliver us. Has any one of the gods of the nations delivered his land from the hand of the king of Assyria? Where are the gods of Hamath and Arpad? Where are the gods of Sepharvaim? Indeed, they didn't when they deliver Samaria from my hand. Who among all the gods of these lands have delivered their country out of my hand? So will Adonai deliver Jerusalem from my hand? But they were silent. They did not answer him a word, for the king's commandment was, do not answer him. Then Eliakim, son of Hilkiah, who was in charge of the palace, and Shebna the scribe, and Joah, son of Asaph the recorder, came to Hezekiah with their clothes torn and told him the words of Rabshakeh. Chapter 37. When King Hezekiah heard it, he tore his clothes, covered himself with sackcloth, and went into the house of Adonai. Then he sent Eliakim, who was in charge of the palace, Shebna the scribe, and the senior Kohanim covered with sackcloth to Isi, Isaiah the prophet, son of Amos. Then they said to him, thus says Hezekiah, this day is a day of distress, rebuke, and contempt, for children have come to the point of birth, and there is no strength for giving birth. Perhaps Adonai your God will hear the words of the Rabshakeh, whom his master the king of Assyria has sent to mock the living God, and will rebuke the words which Adonai your God has heard. So offer prayer for the remnant that is left. When the officials of King Hezekiah came to Isaiah, Isaiah said to him, thus you will say to your master, thus says Adonai, do not be afraid of the words you have heard, with which the boys of the king of Assyria have blasphemed me. Behold, I am putting a spirit in him, so that you will hear a rumor and will return to his own country. Then I will cause him to fall by the sword in his own land. Then the Rabshakeh returned and found the king of Syria fighting against Libnah. For he had heard he had withdrawn from Lachish. Now he had heard them say concerning Tirhakah, king of Ethiopia, saying, he has come out to fight against you. When he heard it, he sent messengers to Hezekiah, saying, thus you will say to King Hezekiah of Judah, saying, do not let your God in whom you trust deceive you, saying, Jerusalem will not be given into the hand of the king of Assyria. Behold, you have heard what the kings of Assyria have done to all lands, utterly destroying them. So will you be delivered? Have the gods of the nations delivered those my fathers destroyed, Gozan, Haran, Rezph, or the children of Eden who were in Telasar? Where is the king of Hamath, or the king of Arpad, or the king of Sepharvaim, or Hena, or Eva? Then Hezekiah received the letter from the hand of the messengers and read it. Then Hezekiah went up to the house of Adonai and spread it before Adonai. Hezekiah prayed to Adonai, saying, Adonai Tavaot, God of Israel, who is enthroned upon the cherubim, who alone are God of all the kingdoms of the earth. You have made heavens and earth. Incline your ear, Adonai, and hear. Open your eyes, Adonai, and see. Listen to all the words of Sennacherib, who was sent to mock the living God. It is true, Adonai, the kings of Assyria have devastated all the countries in their lands, and have cast their gods into the fire, for they are not gods, but the work of human hands, wood and stone, so they have destroyed them. Now, Adonai, our God, save us from his hand, so that all the kingdoms of the earth may know that you alone are God. Then Isaiah son of Amos sent word to Hezekiah, King Hezekiah, saying, Thus says Adonai, the God of Israel, because you prayed to me about King Sennacherib of Assyria, this is the word that Adonai has spoken about him. The virgin daughter of Zion will despise you and mock you. The daughter of Jerusalem will shake her head at you. Whom did you taunt and blaspheme? Against whom did you raise your voice and haughtily lift up your eyes? Against the Holy One of Israel. Through your servants you have blasphemed my Lord, and said, With my many chariot I have climbed to the heights of the mountains, to the remotest parts of Lebanon. I cut down its tall cedars and choice cypress trees. I have gone to its farthest peak, its thickest forest. I dug and drank water with all the soles of my feet. I dried up all the streams of Egypt. Have you not heard? I did it long ago. From ancient times I planned it. Now I have brought it to pass that you should turn fortified cities into heaps of rubble. Their inhabitants are weak-handed, shattered, and ashamed. They are like the grass of the field, and green herb, like grass on roofs, scorched before it is grown up. But I know you're sitting down, you're going out, and you're coming in, and you're raging against me. Because you're raging against me and your arrogance reached my ears, I will put my hook in your nose and my bridle in your lips, and I will turn you back by the way you came. So this shall be the sign to you. This year you will eat what grows by itself. In the second year, what springs from that. But in the third year you will sow, reap, plant vineyards, and eat their fruit. The surviving remnant of the house of Judah will take root downward and bear fruit upward. For from Jerusalem a remnant will go out, and survivors from Mount Zion. The zeal of Adonai Tsabaoth shall perform this. Therefore thus says Adonai concerning the king of Assyria, he will not come to the city, or shoot an arrow there, or come before it with a shield, or throw up a siege ramp against it. By the way that he came, by the same he will return, and he will not come into this city. It is a declaration of Adonai. For I will defend the city to save it, for my own sake and for my servant David's sake. Then the angel of Adonai went out and struck down 185,000 men in the Assyrian camp. When the men arose early in the morning, behold, they were all dead corpses. So King Sennacherib of Assyria withdrew and returned home and stayed in Nineveh. It also came to pass, as he was worshipping in the house of his god Nisroch, that his sons Adramelech and Sarecer struck him down with a sword and escaped in the land of Ararat. Then his son Asar-Haddon became king in his place.